So now I want to talk with you about selling training through a success session. Now, there are plenty of ways that you might be selling training. Maybe you're doing a group kind of orientation or a group session. Maybe you're selling people and you're using email or something else. So the mechanics of this still work, but I will tell you that unless your business is thriving and you are absolutely where you want to be from a revenue and profitability standpoint, there's no quicker way to improve your sales and to maximize conversion rates and lifetime value than to sit down with somebody and do a true success session, because now you're going to understand them more. You're going to understand how we can solve their problems more effectively, how we can be the best solution for them, what the right program is for them, rather than kind of taking this wholesale one-size-fits-all approach. Now, sure, if you're in a position where you don't have the time to do it, or you're trying to automate things, you can sell via sales pages and you can create funnels and you can do all that other stuff. And I'm not suggesting for a moment that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work as well. So until you're at that point that you really feel like you've gotten over the hump, my recommendation is to sit down with somebody one-on-one and sell them training in that fashion, because it's a simple process and it's going to work so much better than anything else you do, and it's going to create a bond between you and the prospective client so that you have a foundation for a great relationship long term, and you're going to be better suited to serve them long term. In fact, anytime I'm inviting somebody into a coaching program that's like an IBA or mastermind, we don't even sell that through a sales page. We sell that like I get them on the phone and we talk about the goals. I want to know that they're going to be a good fit for our culture. I want to know that I can help them, that this is going to be a win-win relationship. So I'm always going to take that approach because I know it better sets us up for a long-term successful relationship. So with that in mind, really, for me, the sales process is kind of this 3-step sequence. The first step is really just getting to know somebody and connecting with them and learning why they're there. And I've talked about this in 5, 6, 7 steps, and I'm really kind of just trying to simplify it for you to make this really easy for you to understand and apply. So that first phase, that first step, well, they're there, and let's assume that we're dealing with, a 60-minute time frame. I want to connect with that person and build some rapport. I want to ask some questions that don't necessarily have anything to do with training itself. I want to learn about them. Do they have a family? What do they do for a living? If we're in a town, do we know any common people? And all we're trying to do is build rapport. And I'm sure you've heard that phrase many times, building a rapport with somebody, but it's just trying to create a connection, right? Like, we don't have to use sales terminology like, hey, we're going to build rapport and we're going to get into advanced questioning. And we're just trying to connect with somebody because we know that if they're comfortable with us, if we have a connection, they're going to be more likely to be open and honest and less guarded with us as we try to learn more about how we can better serve them. So, for me, a lot of times I'm going to see if we have any common connections. I know that so much of the time, if somebody told me they were from a particular community, I might ask them if they knew somebody there. I might see if we have, common relationships. I might see if we have common interests. I just want to know about that person as a person, not as a prospective client first. So after we get through some of that, which it might be 5 minutes, it might be 15 minutes, depending on how much talking they do. But I assure you, if it's 15 minutes, we're off to a good start because they're comfortable with us. They're open, they're talking. And the more they're talking, the more eager they are to share more of the important stuff that's really pertinent to what we're going to be discussing. So, that's the first part of this initial phase, is just getting them to open up and connect with them. So don't think about it as this really rigid line of questioning. Think of it as, how would I just start a conversation to get to know somebody? And I'm going to ask some questions and get them talking. Everything's open-ended. It's not, hey, I'm going into this health history questionnaire. Hey, do you have a history of heart problems? Have you had any surgeries? That's not an open thing, right? Let's learn about you as a person. Let's connect. One of the things that I ask people all the time to start a conversation is, hey, tell me what's going on in your world. Tell me how things are in your business. How are things going for you personally? I just want them to talk and kind of let their guard down and know that I'm interested in them overall. Then, after that, there are so many other directions we could take this, but I want to give you a couple simple things that you can do. The first is using a two-step questioning approach that I use really, really effectively, that you can always dig deeper than this, but frankly, these two do questions are enough to really set the stage for everything else if you do them well, right? The first question is kind of a version of the Dan Sullivan question. If you're not familiar with Dan, Dan's a tremendous business mentor and somebody so many of us have learned from, but he has a question called the Dan Sullivan question that's really kind of just to get somebody to think in the future and where they want to go. Now, I've amended this question to fit what we do. So the question that I use is, okay, if we were sitting down again a year from today, what would have had to have happened over the past 12 months for you to feel like you were just thrilled with the progress you had made towards your health and fitness and transformation goals? Now, see, the cool thing about this is, instead of me trying to fit them into these tight little boxes of, hey, do you want to achieve fat loss or muscle gain or whatever else that I'll see on questionnaires, no, it's tell me what you want to achieve over the next 12 months. What would have to happen for you to feel like you achieve success? And I've also painted this in a 12-month time frame, so now I'm helping them think about long term. So even if we're, like, let's say somebody came in for a front-end offer. They came in for a challenge or a 28-day jump start or something. This is how we get them to think beyond that 6 weeks, beyond that 28 days. So I ask them that question, and they're going to tell me things, and I may just say, well, tell me more about that. What's that mean to you? Why is that important to you? Anything, like, they may just give me a novel, right? They may tell me everything there is to know. But if they give me that much information, I don't have to ask a lot more. But if they give you kind of vague answers like, oh, I need to lose some weight or whatever else, well, in 12 months, like, how much weight do you feel like you would need to lose to be really happy? And I just want them to express what success looks like to them, because I need to know, can I help them get there? Is this congruent with what we do? Because I may be thinking, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what they want, and they're just not a mesh, right? So that's the first question once we get into kind of the questioning phase of this specific to what we do. The follow-up question is, what do you feel would have to change or have to happen for you to achieve those goals? Now, instead of me saying, hey, this is what we do and this is how we do it or whatever else, they get to tell me what they perceive their limitations to be. Now, I'm not going to tell you the things that they think have to change are right. I'm telling you this is where they are today, so this is what you have to work with. But now you're getting them to sell themselves on something has to change, something has to happen, which is so much more effective than you selling them. Because the beauty of this is, okay, if they tell you, well, hey, I'm going to have to be more consistent, I'm going to have to change my nutrition, I'm going to have to be, exercising 3 days a week, whatever those things are, now you know what you have to work with, and you get to tell them how your program, how your business can address those goals specifically, can address those things that they know need to happen or need to change. So that's when we get into, we've gone through the kind of this connection and discovery phase. That's phase one. Now we get to go into what I consider value building phase. We get to share how we're going to do that now that we know what we're going to do. So I'm going to start out by saying, well, that's great. You know what? I know that we can help you achieve those goals, and really here's how. And I get to basically reiterate what they just told me, but as it relates to what we do, instead of just kind of being a brochure of what we do. They don't need to be here to read a list of, well, hey, we train 3 days a week and we do this and we do that. No, you get to connect the dots for them so they know exactly how you're going to help them. If they feel like they need accountability, you get to tell them what you do to hold people accountable. You get to tell them what you do to keep people motivated. You get to tell them how you address nutrition. Whatever they told you they feel like they need or needs to change, you get to tell them how you do that. Now, I'm not saying you need to amend what you do to suit everybody. I'm saying you now know what's going through their head, and you get to kind of jump into that conversation that's going through their head and say, okay, this is how we're specifically going to address this, so they understand why you were the best solution to them, because nobody else takes that much interest in them. So we can do that, and then we can take it a step further. In the value building phase, if you do something that is a physical component to this success session, like some people might do an FMS, some people might take somebody and give them some, a few examples of movements that they do. Some people, you're doing this session after they've already been part of a front-end offer, so they already know what you do. If there's a physical component like a screen, then you already know what they want, what they feel like their limitations are. All you have to do is connect the things that you're doing in that screen back to them. Like if you're going to do an inline lunge, you get to tell them how that's relevant to their goals and what they perceive their limitations to be, or their needs, or what needs to change. If you're doing a shoulder mobility test, you get to connect the dots for them, right? Don't just leave it out there so they don't see that it's related at all. You get to tell them how that fits in with what they've already told you. And then that third phase, we just basically are going into kind of solution mode, right? Because that's all selling is. It's providing a solution to a problem or helping them to achieve a goal. So we know we've connected with them. We know what they want. We know what they feel like they need. We've shown them how we can provide that. Now we're going to go through a very simplistic kind of alternate choice close. We're going to say, well, hey, you know what? I really look forward to the opportunity to work with you. I feel like we can help you a lot. We can be a very specific solution to achieve your goals. Now, there are a couple different programs that we have that I think would be a good fit for you based on what we've worked on today. We've got our first program, which is our group training program. Now, that'll be 3 days a week. You'd come in, and what's great about that is you could come at specific times and have that consistency you were looking for and be accountable, and know that you're getting a great workout each and every time you come in, so that every week you feel like you're moving closer to your goals, so you're keeping that motivation we talked about. Now that program is an investment of just $199 a month. And then we've got our semi-private program. Now this is for people that want a little more personal attention. They want their program to be more customized, specific to them, and they want a little more flexibility with their scheduling, because obviously those time slots are a little more flexible throughout the day instead of our group time slots. Now, this program at 3 days a week would be an investment of $349 a month. Now, based on what we talked about, which one of those would you prefer to get started with? Pretty simple, right? I mean, it's, okay, I'm going to tell you, you've told me what's important to you. I'm going to tell you how the programs that we have would fit and connect with that, and I'm going to tell you what the choices are, what they cost, and I'm going to basically say, okay, you choose. Now, you can be prescriptive and say, now, based on what we've talked about, I'd recommend the group program, or I'd recommend the semi-private program. That's up to you if you feel confident that you know which way is the better fit for them. But we always want to have at least 2 choices, no more than 3. We don't want to confuse them. We don't want to overwhelm them. We want to narrow the choices here, because we're in the leadership position. We're the coach. We're the expert they came to help them. So, alternate choice close. We extol the virtues of each program. Like, we're not trying to belittle one program or the other, because they're all good, or we shouldn't be offering them. But we talk about, okay, who's this for? What are the benefits to this? And then it's, hey, based on what we've talked about, I'd recommend this. Or based on what we've talked about, choose A or B. Which one's a better fit for you? Now, I've included a simple script that you can follow, that you can use as your framework. Now, obviously, you want to put this in your own words. You want to have your own personality kind of woven into this because you don't want it to feel canned. You don't want it to feel scripted. I know that I wouldn't use that exact same language, but that's a simple kind of framework for me to work with. And then I'm just going to talk in the language I would use on a daily basis. Like, hey, you know what? I've got these two programs. You know, IBA is this investment, Mastermind is this. Based on what we talked about, I think you'd be a better fit for IBA. So would you like to get started? Simple enough. Now, that's it. Now, it's as simple as can be. We're connecting with somebody. We're finding out what they want, what they believe they need. We're going to show them how we can do it. And then we're going to present the specific solution and let them choose. Now, if there's an incentive, now we may offer some sort of incentive, a discount, a bonus, something like that. If they decide today, that's great. That's fine. We don't have to do that if we've built value in what we do prior to this. But you know, we can always use that. Like, let's say that we have somebody on a front-end offer and we're halfway through their challenge or their trial or whatever. We can say, hey, and you know what? If you decide or you commit before, you know, the end of the week, we'll apply half your challenge investment to this program. So something like that's a great lever or an incentive to get them to act and not procrastinate. But you know, that's up to you. If that fits with your business and that fits with your financials, great. But the most important thing is you've got those kind of 3 phases in the success session in place to help you, you know, have a nice flow so that you're not feeling antagonistic. You're not feeling like you don't know what they want. You're not just giving them a brochure and letting them decide. You're taking a leadership position. You're serving as a coach, as a mentor, as an assistant buyer instead of this antagonistic salesperson. You do that and you're going to have fabulous success. So use the script, use the examples I provided, and you're going to have the framework to have tremendous success.